What would you do if your family expected you to sacrifice everything for them, only to call you selfish when you finally said no? Meet Sarah, a 27-year-old who poured her heart and wallet into supporting her sister Megan after a messy divorce. But when Megan starts taking Sarah's help for granted, leaving her kids at a mall to chase a new romance, tensions boil over. What secret is Megan hiding, and how far will this family drama push Sarah? If you're ready for a wild ride, hit like, subscribe, and keep watching. My name is Sarah, and at 27, I've always felt fortunate to have a tight-knit family. My parents, married for 3 decades, and my older sister Megan, now 30. We've weathered life's storms together, but this past year stretched our bonds in ways I never saw coming. A year ago, Megan's marriage crumbled. Her husband, Kevin, had been unfaithful with a coworker, and after a heated argument the boys overheard, he walked out. Overnight, Megan became a single mom to Owen, 9, and Noah, 7. "I don't know how I'll get through this," Megan wept over coffee at my place, days after Kevin left. Her eyes were swollen, her face drained from sleepless nights. "The lawyer's fees are crippling, and Kevin's dodging child support." "We'll make it work," I said, gripping her hand. "You're not in this alone." I meant every word. My parents and I rallied around her. Mom and Dad stocked her fridge with groceries every Sunday without fail. I covered half her rent, a hefty slice of my marketing coordinator paycheck, but her relieved sigh made it worthwhile. I reshuffled my work hours to help with the boys. Finishing work at 4 a.m., I'd collect Owen and Noah from my parents' place, where they went after school, since Megan worked until 6 o'clock. At my apartment, I'd guide them through homework and whip up snacks until Megan arrived. Weekends turned into Aunt Sarah adventures movies, the science museum, or the arcade, while Megan caught up on rest or chores. I paid for it all without hesitation. "Aunt Sarah, you're the coolest," Noah would beam, eyes sparkling as I handed him arcade tokens or popcorn at the theater. Those moments fueled me. I adored my nephews, and seeing their joy despite their parents' split made me feel I was making a difference. For the first few months, everything flowed smoothly. Megan's gratitude was heartfelt. She'd thank me endlessly when she picked up the boys, sometimes bringing coffee or my favorite pastry as a small gesture. But around the 4-month mark, subtle shifts began. "Sorry, I'm running late," Megan said one evening, breezing in at 7:15 instead of 6 o'clock. "Work's insane." The next week, she was late again, then 2 hours late the week after. "This project's killing me," she said, but something felt off. Her hair was freshly styled, her new blouse slinky and low-cut unlike her usual workwear. Her makeup, too, was bold, smoky eyes, red lips, more nightclub than office. "New vibe?" I asked lightly. "Just trying to feel like myself again," she shrugged. Kevin crushed my confidence. I got it. After a divorce, wanting to feel desirable again made sense. But as weeks passed, late pickups became routine. One night, as I helped Owen with math, he glanced up. "Mom's seeing someone," he said. I kept my expression steady. "Did she mention that?" He shook his head. "No, but I heard her on the phone. She was laughing like she used to with Dad before they fought all the time." Kids see everything. I wasn't upset that Megan might be dating. She deserved a fresh start after Kevin's betrayal. What stung was her secrecy and how she was leaning on my time without being honest. Then came a Thursday that shifted everything. Megan was due to pick up the boys at 6 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, she hadn't shown, and her phone went straight to voicemail. By 9 o'clock, worry gripped me. I dialed my parents. "Mom, have you heard from Megan? She was supposed to pick up the boys 3 hours ago, and her phone is off." There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Oh, honey, I thought she would have told you. She, had plans tonight." "What kind of plans involve turning off your phone when your children are waiting for you?" "Sarah," my mother said in her placating voice, "your sister has been through a lot. She's finally feeling like herself again. There are some things we need to explain, but not right now. The boys can stay with you tonight, can't they?" I looked at Owen and Noah, already in their pajamas that I kept at my apartment for emergencies, playing a board game on my living room floor. "Of course they can stay," I said, "but Mom, this isn't right." "We'll talk tomorrow," she said, and hung up. I made up the pull-out couch for the boys and tucked them in, assuring them everything was fine and their mom would pick them up in the morning. As I lay in my own bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I realized something had shifted. What had started as temporary family support was turning into something else entirely, something that revolved entirely around Megan's needs and none of mine. Megan showed up at my apartment at 10:30 the next morning. The boys were eating the pancakes I'd made them, still in their pajamas, and watching cartoons when I opened the door. She breezed in with a smile that faded when she saw my expression. "Hey, sorry about last night," she said casually, as if she'd been 15 minutes late instead of not showing up at all. I pulled her into the kitchen, away from the boys' earshot. "Where were you? I called you a dozen times." "My phone died," she said, but her eyes didn't meet mine. She was wearing the same clothes as yesterday, her makeup slightly smudged. It didn't take a detective to figure out what had happened. "You were with someone." It wasn't a question. Her face lit up then, and she actually giggled. "Yes! Gil, he's amazing. His name is Ryan. We've been seeing each other for a few weeks now. Last night was, well, you know." I felt my blood pressure rising. "No, I don't know. What I do know is that you left your children waiting, turned off your phone, and didn't bother to tell me you weren't coming." Megan's smile disappeared. "They were with you. I knew they were safe." "That's not the point." I tried to keep my voice down. "You can't just dump your responsibilities whenever you feel like it. What if I had plans? What if there had been an emergency?" "But there wasn't," she said defensively. "You're making this into a bigger deal than it is. Next time I'll ask, 'Happy now?'" "No, I'm not happy. You're being completely irresponsible." That was when she lost it. "Irresponsible? I've been taking care of 2 kids by myself while working full-time. You have no idea what that's like. You with your perfect little life and your freedom to do whatever you want." "My perfect little life?" I shot back. "The one where I'm paying half your rent and spending every evening and weekend taking care of your kids?" "No one asked you to do that," she shouted, loud enough that the boys definitely heard. "Mom!" Owen appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking worried. Noah was right behind him. Megan's demeanor shifted in an instant, her expression softening. "Grab your stuff, boys. We're going." As they slung their backpacks over their shoulders, she turned to me, her gaze icy. "You think you're flawless, don't you? Always swooping in like some hero. I don't need your judgment." Without another word, she ushered the boys out, the door slamming in their wake. I stood alone in my quiet apartment, trembling with frustration. Barely an hour later, my phone buzzed. It was Mom. "What did you say to your sister?" she demanded, skipping any greeting. "Nice to hear from you too," I shot back. "I told her she can't just ditch her kids without a heads up." Mom let out a heavy sigh. "Sarah, your sister's struggling. She's piecing her life back together after Kevin shattered her confidence. You're supposed to support her." "You're not hearing me, Mom." "No, you're not hearing me. Family lifts each other up, Sarah. I thought we taught you better." The line went dead. I stared at my phone, stunned. Somehow I'd become the bad guy. The next few weeks were strained. Megan still dropped Owen and Noah off after school, but her words were few and clipped. The thank yous vanished entirely. Instead, I'd get texts like, "Running late, make dinner for the boys." Not a request in order. I began to see how much my life revolved around her needs. When Melissa invited me to a concert, I passed because Saturdays were for taking the boys to the Science Museum. A dress I loved caught my eye while shopping, but I left it on the rack. Its cost would cover Megan's rent. Every choice I made was weighed against my sister and nephews. A date? Only if Megan didn't need me. A weekend getaway? Out of the question without meticulous planning. The tipping point came when my boss handed me a high-stakes project with a looming deadline. I'd need to work through the weekend. "I can't take the boys this weekend," I told Megan on Thursday. "Work emergency. I'll have them next weekend." She frowned but nodded. "Fine. I'll handle it." Saturday morning, I was buried in spreadsheets when the doorbell chimed. There stood Megan with Owen and Noah, all grins. "Surprise!" she said, her voice falsely bright. Before I could speak, she nudged the boys inside. I blocked the doorway. "Megan, I said I can't today. I have a deadline." Her smile vanished. "It's just a few hours. They've got their tablets." I told you I'm swamped this weekend, I said firmly. Her face hardened, the fake cheer replaced by anger. You're being selfish, Sarah. After everything we've been through, I gave you notice, I said, unmoving. This isn't on me. She spun to the boys with theatrical flair. Sorry, guys. Aunt Sarah's too busy for you today. That's not what I said, I snapped, but she was already herding them toward the elevator. I shut the door, leaning against it, my chest tight. This was manipulation, pure and simple. I dove back into work, shoving the guilt aside. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was Owen. Aunt Sarah, he said, his voice small. We're at Westfield Mall in the food court. Mom told us to call you. My stomach plummeted. Where's your mom, honey? She said she had to meet Ryan for something. She told us you'd pick us up. I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. She left you alone at the mall? She said you'd come right away. Kai. Fury surged through me. This wasn't just careless, it was reckless. I'll be there in 15 minutes, I said. Stay in the food court, okay? Don't split up. I snatched my keys, abandoning my work without hesitation. Megan had crossed a line. I found the boys exactly where Owen said, at a food court table with half-eaten pretzels. Noah's face brightened when he saw me, but Owen's was flushed with embarrassment. Aunt Sarah! Noah ran to hug me. Hey, buddy! I hugged him back, then looked at Owen. You okay? He nodded, not meeting my eyes. Mom said you were too busy, but you'd come anyway. My blood boiled all over again. Megan had manipulated all of us, knowing full well I wouldn't leave her children stranded, no matter how angry I was. In the car, I tried calling Megan again, straight to voicemail, naturally. I briefly considered calling the police to report abandoned children, but I knew that would only create more trauma for the boys. Instead, I drove straight to my parents' house. Mom answered the door, surprised to see us. Sarah, boys, what are you doing here? Ask your daughter, I said, ushering the boys inside. She left them alone at the mall and told them to call me, even though she knew I had an important work deadline today. Mom and Dad exchanged looks. Well, Mom said, I'm sure she had her reasons. Stop it! I snapped, louder than I intended. The boys, who had headed for the TV, looked over in surprise. I lowered my voice. Stop making excuses for her. This isn't just irresponsible anymore, it's neglect. She knew you'd come get them, Mom said weakly. That's beside the point. I told her I couldn't watch them today. I have a project due Monday that my job depends on, but she doesn't care about my life or my responsibilities. Dad put his hand on my shoulder. Calm down, Jill. We'll watch the boys until Megan comes back. Good, because I won't be available, I said firmly. I'm going home to finish my work, and then I'm done being Megan's on-call babysitter. Mom's face fell. What do you mean, done? I mean I've reached my limit. For months, I've rearranged my life around Megan's needs. I've spent thousands of dollars supporting her and the boys, and in return, I get treated like I'm the selfish one for having boundaries. She needs help, Sarah, Dad said. She's a single mother. And I'm a single woman trying to build my own life. Why does her life matter more than mine? Neither of them had an answer for that. I left my parents' house feeling both liberated and guilty. Back at my apartment, I threw myself into my work, finishing late Sunday night. As soon as I submitted the project, I opened my messaging app and wrote to Megan. I love Owen and Noah, but I can't be your backup plan anymore. I won't be available to watch them until you start respecting my time and boundaries. I hit send before I could change my mind. Megan read the message the next morning but didn't reply. Fine by me. The following weeks were strange. For the first time in a year, my evenings and weekends were my own again. No homework to supervise, no bedtimes to manage, no cartoons blaring in my living room. I had forgotten what freedom felt like. I started going out with friends again, saying yes to after-work drinks and weekend brunches without calculating childcare logistics in my head. I bought myself new clothes without guilt. I even joined a kickboxing class I'd been eyeing for months. That's where I met David. He was the instructor, tall, with an easy smile and kind eyes. After class one evening, he asked if I wanted to grab coffee. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into movie nights, and before I knew it, we were officially dating. For 3 months, my life revolved around work, kickboxing, and David, and I loved it. David and I grew closer over those months. He was thoughtful and supportive, always interested in hearing about my day and sharing his. One evening, after a romantic dinner at his place, he suggested something that made my heart skip. "My buddy has a timeshare in Hawaii," he said. "He's not using his 2 weeks this summer and offered it to me at a fraction of the cost. What do you think? You, me, white sand beaches for 2 whole weeks?" "Are you serious?" I couldn't believe it. "That sounds amazing." "We both have vacation time saved up," he pointed out. It would be in June, about 2 weeks from now. "Yes!" I said without hesitation. "Absolutely, yes!" As we planned our trip, I realized I should probably tell my family. I hadn't seen them in weeks, not since the mall incident. Maybe it was time to break the ice. When Mom called to invite me to Sunday dinner, I accepted. Walking into my parents' house felt strange after so long. The familiar smells of Mom's cooking, the sound of the boys playing in the backyard, the family photos lining the hallway, it all gave me a pang of nostalgia mixed with anxiety. Megan was in the kitchen with Mom, chopping vegetables. She barely looked up when I entered. "Hi," I said awkwardly. She nodded in acknowledgement but didn't speak. Dad came in from the backyard and gave me a hug. "Good to have you back, kiddo." Dinner was stilted at first. The boys were excited to see me, chatting about school and friends, but Megan remained cool and distant. I let the conversation flow around me, waiting for the right moment. It came during dessert as Mom served her famous apple pie. "I have some news," I said, setting down my fork. "I've been seeing someone for a few months now. His name is David." "That's wonderful, dear," Mom said, genuinely pleased. "You'll have to bring him by sometime." "Actually," I continued, "we're going on vacation together to Hawaii for 2 weeks in June." The table went silent, then Megan perked up, suddenly interested in the conversation. "Hawaii?" she repeated. "That sounds perfect. The boys have summer break then, and I have vacation time saved up." I stared at her confused. "What?" She turned to her sons with a bright smile. "Did you hear that? Aunt Sarah is taking us all to Hawaii." "Really?" Noah exclaimed, bouncing in his seat. "We're going to Hawaii?" "No," I said firmly, looking directly at Megan. "I'm going to Hawaii with David. It's a couple's trip." Megan's smile didn't falter. "Don't be silly. There's room for all of us. You'll pay for our tickets too, right? After all, you haven't helped out in months." I looked at my parents, expecting them to step in, but they were nodding along as if this made perfect sense. Something inside me snapped. "No," I said, standing up from the table. "You and the boys are not coming to Hawaii with us. This is a romantic vacation with my boyfriend, not a family trip." Mom cleared her throat. "Sarah, don't you think you're being a bit selfish? It would mean so much to the boys." That word again. Selfish. The weapon they'd been using against me for months. "Selfish?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Let me tell you what selfish is, expecting me to pay for half your rent for a year." I looked at Megan. "Dropping your kids off whenever you want without asking. Abandoning them at a mall when I specifically said I was busy." "That was one time," Megan started. "One time is enough," I snapped. "And now you think you're entitled to crash my vacation? A vacation I'm planning with the man I love?" Dad put his hands up in a placating gesture. "Let's all calm down." "I am calm, Dad," I said evenly. "I'm just done being taken advantage of. For the past year, I put my life on hold to help Megan. I've spent thousands of dollars, countless hours, and what do I get in return? Being called selfish for wanting 2 weeks to myself?" "We're family," Mom said, as if that explained everything. "Yes, we are, and families should respect each other's boundaries. Families shouldn't guilt each other into sacrificing their own happiness." Megan stood up, hands on her hips. "How dare you?" "No, how dare you?" I cut her off. "How dare you try to manipulate me in front of the boys? How dare you teach them that it's okay to use people and take them for granted?" I turned to my nephews, my voice gentle. "I'm sorry, boys. I know you're upset, but this trip is just for adults. How about we plan something fun together soon?" Noah's eyes brimmed with tears. Owen shifted awkwardly, old enough to sense the tension beneath my words. "I'm leaving now," I said to my parents, my tone firm. "When you're ready to respect my choices, we can talk." I walked out, the weight of their stunned silence trailing behind me. Driving home, my phone buzzed relentlessly with Megan's messages, each one sharper than the last. "The boys are heartbroken because of you. Family sticks together. How can you be so cold?" I switched it off, letting the quiet settle. 2 weeks later, David and I were soaring toward Hawaii. I'd barely glanced at my phone, pouring my energy into work and trip preparations. When I did check, Megan's passive-aggressive post about selfish sisters who choose pleasure over duty glared at me. I swallowed the urge to fire back. Hawaii was a dream come to life. Turquoise waves, fiery sunsets, and 2 weeks of freedom, with nothing to decide but which beach to lounge on or which restaurant to savor. On our final night, strolling along a moonlit shore, David paused and faced me. "These 2 weeks have been the best of my life," he said, his voice warm. "Actually, these past few months have been. You make everything brighter." He dropped to one knee, a small box in his hand, and my breath caught. "Sarah, I know it's been a short time, but I've never been surer. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred my vision as I nodded. "Yes, yes, I will." The ring, a simple diamond, shimmered in the moonlight. Back home, David grinned. "My lease is up soon. How about I move in? I'd rather save that money for our future." It felt right, and we made it official. I shared a photo of my ring online, not expecting much. The next day, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Sarah, I saw your post. Congratulations, honey." "Thanks, Mom," I said, wary. "Your dad and I have been talking," she went on. "We owe you an apology. We've been so focused on Megan that we didn't see how it was hurting you." Her words caught me off guard. "We'd love for you and David to join us for dinner this weekend. Megan and the boys will be there." I hesitated. "Mom, I'm not sure that's a good idea yet." "Please," she urged. "We want to start fresh." After talking it over with David, I agreed. Stepping into my parents' house that Saturday felt different. Mom wrapped me in a tight hug, and Dad greeted David with a warm handshake. Megan was polite but distant. The boys, though, lit up. "Aunt Sarah, we missed you!" "Say," Noah cried, flinging his arms around me. "I missed you too, kiddo." Dinner went smoothly. Mom and Dad asked David about his work and interests, genuinely curious. Megan stayed quiet but didn't snipe. After dessert, Mom raised her glass. "To Sarah and David, we're thrilled for you both." Megan didn't apologize that night, but she texted later suggesting coffee the next week. Our bond was still fragile, but we were talking. In the months that followed, I found my footing. I spent time with my nephews when it felt right, not out of obligation. David and I built our life together, planning a wedding for the next year. Megan started standing on her own landing, a promotion, covering her rent, and stepping up for the boys. Did my boundaries spark that shift? I'll never know for certain, but by choosing my own joy, I became a stronger sister, aunt, and partner. Sometimes the truest way to love your family is to love yourself enough to draw a line. That's not selfish, it's essential. This story hits hard because it's so real. Sarah's journey shows how love for family can pull you in 2 directions, wanting to help but needing to protect your own life. I admire her strength in supporting Megan and the boys, even when it meant sacrificing her time, money, and dreams. But what stands out most is how she learned to set boundaries, not out of anger, but out of necessity. Megan's actions ditching the boys at the mall, expecting Sarah to fund a family vacation, weren't just thoughtless, they were manipulative. Yet Sarah's response wasn't to cut ties, but to redefine her role. That takes courage. The lesson here is clear. Family matters, but so do you. Helping loved ones shouldn't mean erasing your own needs. Sarah's story reminds us that boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships. By standing firm, she not only reclaimed her life, but also pushed Megan to step up. And her parents' apology shows that change is possible when you hold your ground with love. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life dramas that make you think. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it'll spark a conversation. What do you think about Sarah's choice to set boundaries? Have you ever had to draw a line with family to protect your own peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And let's talk. How do you balance helping family with living your own life? Join us next week for another story that'll keep you hooked.